Contreras of it all. I don't know if you want to start on the starting pitching.
Yeah, let's start
Where
with
do you want
like
to go?
the most interesting part is having the three catchers. So
Yeah.
so we did call up Trace Barrera. Trace Barrera, we talked about when we first signed him. I mean, it's just we thought that he was a signing that would just back up Ivan Herrera down in AAA, which seemed like that's what was happening. But I guess he had some kind of offense showing in AAA, and now he decided that he needs to be up in the big leagues because now it sounds like they don't want Contreras catching, which we signed the catcher this offseason because we knew we had a big hole there, and now they don't want him catching. So yeah, what are your thoughts? I know you're very passionate about this, so I want to hear some of your thoughts here.
There's so much that goes into this topic. It's gonna be hard for me to keep my mind focused, but it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen out of this organization. And we've talked about it with Josh Jacobs, who's come on and helped us out a couple of times with a couple episodes. We love this organization. I mean, we haven't really said a bad thing about it yet. But this season truly has like made me think that these guys do not know what they're doing. And again, three catchers doesn't make any sense. The other thing is, I mean, he had a good game today, but you cannot tell me that there is a history of Andrew Knizner being the correct person to go for here. Trace Barrera hasn't really proved that he's any better. I just don't get it. And the fact of the matter is they're doing this to find somebody to be the scapegoat. That's just case in point. Because Ali came out saying that Willson Contreras was not the problem. His performance behind the plate is not the reason we're losing games, is exactly what he said. Then Saturday morning comes around, or this morning comes around. I can't remember. It's such a blur because I've just been in a fit of rage about it. And he says that he doesn't understand literally, basically saying he doesn't understand the Cardinal way when it comes to pitching. And so they're going to teach him how to do it. He's going to have to sit down with every single manager and coach. And so we're treating him like, a fucking rookie. He's a veteran catcher, and we're treating him like he's a child. And we're doing the exact same thing with the pitching staff. They're the ones that are causing us to lose games. And we're saying that it's Willson Contreras' fault. And how he doesn't figure out how he can get out of this contract is beyond me. Because it's such bullshit, man. It's absolutely ridiculous. I can't think of any other reason why. I mean, he came into this organization shitting on the Cubs, saying that the Cardinals are so much better. And then they do this. And I mean, he even called up Yachty. And I'm going based off of what Willson said, Yachty said. But Willson says that Yachty was like, it's completely up to pitch execution. And it happened again today. Was it Knizner's fault that Jojo Romero let up a grand slam that almost cost us the game? I would very much like to know how it's not Knizner's fault if everything else has been Contreras' fault.
Right.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I even held back. I could say so much more, but I just don't know how to stay on that.
I don't think you have to hold back, man. I think you can just keep going. It makes no sense. It just shows how lost the Cardinals are right now. They're putting on a front, like Marmol is just putting on this front like he knows what he's doing, but it's like we don't think he does, man.
Every decision he has made, and it's not necessarily his fault. He finally pinch hits Gorman in a situation where we need a better bat. It unfortunately ends with Gorman striking out. But he made the right call. He brings in the other day. He brings in, I can't remember which pitcher, but he made the right call and it didn't work out. Like that happens. But when it happens in a slew of decisions that you are just completely going against every inclination that you said was your reasoning for doing everything this year. I mean, this whole year started off by saying that there's a standard of play, and if you don't meet it, you're not going to play. Well, I don't know, I need to be told what Willson did wrong in order to not meet the standard, in order to understand this whole bunch of bullshit that they're putting him through.
Sounds like whatever preparation or something. I have no idea. Like, I've been trying to look into it, but I don't know. Like you said, they're treating him like a rookie. It's like, oh, he's not like doing the things that the Cardinals expect of him or something.
If they were like, we can't sign an offseason, we can't figure out a free agent catcher, we can't figure out a trade, and they had to do this to Ivan Herrera, I wouldn't bat an eye. This is Willson goddamn Contreras. And the first thing that they said was that they were going to start putting him in the outfield. Guess who told us that was going to happen? Fucking Cubs fans. Like, and they sat there and laughed at us in December because they were like, this is going to happen. He's not a good catcher. And everything up to this point has shown that he is. I mean, not every time, but there were multiple times, and Matz said this in a press conference after a game, that he shook off Willson twice in one game. And guess what? Both of those pitches that he threw ended up leaving the yard. Like, it's not Wilson's fault. It's pitch execution. And the fact that we are refusing, it only makes me think that it's Marmol, or not Marmol, it's Mozeliak saying this, because he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything to figure out the pitching. We honestly, at least I thought that the pitching wasn't going to be as bad as it is. But man, like, if Marmol, or I keep switching him around, if Mozeliak's trying to cover his ass and then blame his only acquisition in the offseason for it, like, what the hell are we doing, man?
Yeah, I don't know. It goes back to that, like, simulation thing that Josh brought up. Like, if you simulate the season 100 times, this is probably like the 2 times that this happens. And I don't know. They obviously didn't expect anything like this to happen, so now they're just trying to make these random moves.
Trying to find an answer, or trying to make up a message. But I mean, the messaging that they've had over the last 2 seasons has been completely awful.
Yeah, and obviously this season really tops it off. I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do with the whole catching thing. I mean, are they gonna try and just get Trace Barrera at bats like they're trying to get every other person on the bench at bats? Like, how's that going to work? I don't know. I really don't care about that. I hope they get over it. I mean, Willson obviously isn't like the best catcher. I mean, you see the after effects of not having Yachty. Like, he doesn't really know how to frame that well, but like you're saying, man, pitchers just have to execute pitches.